Ever wondered how to turn a financial disaster into a money-making machine? That's exactly what Alex did when he inherited a crumbling, useless building. Today, I'll tell you how he turned that liability into a profitable asset, and how you can too. Once, there was a man who inherited a large, old, run-down building in the heart of a city. At first, he was excited to own such a big property, but soon, reality hit him. The building had been abandoned for years. The roof was leaking, the walls were crumbling, and there were complaints from neighbors about its condition. On top of that, the property taxes and maintenance costs were extremely high. The man was not wealthy, and he knew he couldn't afford to repair it quickly. The building had turned into a financial liability. Every month, he had to pay taxes and other expenses, and the pressure kept building. The man started to feel overwhelmed. His family and friends advised him to sell the property and cut his losses. But selling wasn't as easy as it sounded. Potential buyers saw the building as a huge burden. No one wanted to buy a property that required such a massive investment to make it usable again. The man sat down one evening and thought to himself, I can't sell it, but I also can't afford to keep losing money like this. How can I turn this liability into an asset? He decided to approach the problem differently, seeing it not as a burden, but as an opportunity to transform the property. The first thing the man did was research the area where the building was located. Although the building was old and neglected, it was in a part of the city that was slowly becoming more popular, with new businesses moving in. He realized that the location had potential, but he still didn't have the money to fix up the entire building. He thought, maybe I don't need to renovate the whole building at once. He decided to start small. He used what little savings he had to renovate just one floor of the building. It took time, but he focused on making that one floor look modern, functional, and appealing. He contacted local contractors, negotiated for lower prices, and even did some of the work himself, like painting and cleaning. Once the floor was ready, he advertised it as office space for rent. A small startup business took interest and decided to rent that floor. The rent from this startup didn't cover all the building's expenses, but it helped reduce the financial burden significantly. For the first time, the man was making some money from the property instead of losing it. Encouraged by this success, the man used the rental income to gradually renovate other parts of the building. He didn't rush, and instead of trying to take out a large loan, he reinvested the rent money to improve another floor. Over time, more businesses started renting space. Eventually, he had 3 floors rented out. The rent from those tenants was now enough to cover the property taxes, maintenance costs, and even give him a small profit each month. As the building became more functional, it attracted better tenants. One day, a popular local cafe approached him, asking if they could rent space on the ground floor for their new location. The man negotiated a good deal with the cafe, and soon, the cafe was bringing in foot traffic, making the building more popular. As word spread about the building's transformation, more businesses wanted to rent space. Eventually, the man had tenants on every floor. The rent income was not only covering all the costs of maintaining the building, but it was also providing the man with a comfortable, steady income. What had started as a massive liability, something that was costing him money every month, had turned into a valuable asset. Over time, the value of the building increased. The once neglected, rundown property became a desirable location for businesses in the area. The man was now in a position where he had multiple options. He could continue renting it out and enjoy the steady income, or he could sell it at a much higher price than it was worth when he inherited it. Either way, he had turned what had seemed like a financial disaster into a thriving success. But this story doesn't end here. The man's experience taught him valuable lessons about business and property management. He started attending local business networking events and speaking with other property owners. He shared his story about how he had transformed his building, and through these conversations, he learned that many other people were struggling with similar situations. Some of them had inherited old properties. Others had bought buildings that weren't generating the income they had hoped for. The man realized there was a business opportunity here. He began offering consulting services to other property owners, helping them figure out how to turn their liabilities into assets. His advice was simple but powerful. Start small, focus on what you can fix, reinvest your earnings, and have patience. He also emphasized the importance of location, showing them how to research the area and understand what potential renters or buyers might be looking for. As his consulting business grew, the man became known in his city as someone who could turn rundown, seemingly worthless properties into thriving assets. He started buying other buildings that were in poor condition, using the same strategy he had used with his first property. He would fix them up little by little, rent them out, and eventually turn them into profitable assets. One day, a woman came to him with a similar problem. She had inherited a small piece of land outside the city, but it was far from any major development. The land wasn't generating any income, and she had no idea how to make it valuable. Many people told her it was worthless because of its location, but the man didn't agree. He saw potential. He advised the woman to research what kinds of projects were happening in that area. She discovered that the city had plans to expand public transportation to that region in the coming years. The man suggested that she hold onto the land for a while, and in the meantime, she could rent it out for small, temporary uses, like hosting community events or setting up a farmer's market. The land wasn't making a huge profit, but it was at least generating some income while she waited for the area to develop. A few years later, as predicted, the public transportation expansion reached that part of the city, and suddenly, the land became much more valuable. The woman was able to sell it at a significant profit, thanks to the man's advice. Lesson 1. Change your mindset. See opportunities, not problems. The very first lesson we can learn from Alex's experience is to change your mindset. When Alex inherited the rundown building, it would have been easy for him to focus on all the negatives. But instead, Alex chose to ask himself, how can I make this building work for me? He shifted his thinking from seeing a problem to seeing an opportunity. Often in life, when we face a liability, whether it's an old building, a debt, or a difficult situation, we only see the downside. But Alex's story shows us that if we look for the opportunity within the problem, we can find a way forward. Alex didn't let the challenges paralyze him. Instead, he saw potential in the building's location and used that to his advantage. So, the first lesson is, change your mindset from focusing on problems to focusing on opportunities. Every liability holds some form of potential if you're willing to look for it. Lesson 2. Start small and take small steps. Alex didn't have the money to renovate the whole building at once, and this is a critical lesson. Start small. He began by fixing just one floor, and that small step allowed him to start generating income. Often, when we face a large problem, it can feel overwhelming. We might think we need to solve everything at once, but that's not true. Alex's story teaches us that you don't need to fix everything immediately. Focus on what you can do right now. Break down the problem into smaller, manageable parts and take the first step. If you're dealing with a difficult situation or trying to turn something into an asset, start by fixing one part of it. Like Alex, you can build on those small successes over time. Lesson 3. Reinvest your earnings. One of the most important lessons in this story is the idea of reinvesting your earnings. Instead of spending the rent money he earned from the first tenant, Alex put it back into the building, slowly renovating more floors and increasing the building's value over time. This teaches us that when we start earning from a project or investment, we shouldn't rush to spend the money right away. Instead, reinvest it into whatever you're working on. By putting money back into the building, Alex was able to gradually turn his liability into a highly valuable asset. Whether you're starting a business, investing in property, or even working on personal goals, reinvesting your resources helps you grow faster and build long-term value. Lesson 4. Be patient and persistent. Alex's transformation of the building took time, and this brings us to another important lesson: be patient. Turning a liability into an asset doesn't happen overnight. Alex had to work slowly and consistently, reinvesting his earnings and improving the building one step at a time. In our own lives, it's easy to get frustrated when progress seems slow, but this story teaches us the value of persistence. If Alex had given up after fixing just one floor, he never would have turned the building into a thriving asset. Success comes from steady, small efforts over time. Lesson 5. Research and understand the market. Alex took the time to research the area around his building, which helped him realize that the neighborhood was improving. This research gave him the confidence to keep investing in the property. Doing your research is crucial in any situation where you're trying to turn a liability into an asset. This applies whether you're investing in property, starting a business, or even making a personal financial decision. Understanding the trends, opportunities, and potential risks will help you make informed choices and take smarter actions. Lesson 6. Networking and learning from others. Finally, Alex's story shows us the power of networking and learning from others. After turning his liability into an asset, Alex didn't stop there. He shared his experience, learned from other property owners, and expanded his business. By talking to people who had similar challenges, he gained new insights and even turned his knowledge into a new consulting business. In our own lives, networking and learning from others is an invaluable tool. Whether you're facing a financial challenge or trying to improve your skills, talking to others who have been through similar situations can provide guidance, ideas, and opportunities. Collaboration and sharing knowledge can multiply your success. In conclusion, Alex's journey of turning a rundown building into a profitable asset teaches us many valuable lessons. By changing his mindset, starting small, reinvesting his earnings, being patient, doing his research, and networking with others, he was able to transform a liability into a thriving success. These lessons can apply to many areas of life, whether in business, personal finance, or even personal challenges. If this video helps you learn something, don't forget to like and subscribe to the latest videos. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.